Good morning. Here's my second video on the Umarex using ballistic gelatin. I realized I did one just yesterday and seemed to cover most of the bases, but several things came up since I shot that video that seemed to cause a few questions. So first off, what I did was take that ballistic gelatin you saw yesterday, put it right back in the pan, melted it. It just took a few minutes. This time I added a bone, and I'll explain that here in a minute. The other thing that happens, once I started talking to people about ballistic gelatin and how to do it, one person suggested that I don't need that sack. I can just put it in the mold and it'll pop right out. It didn't work out so well for me. So it did stick to the bottom and it popped and broke a little bit right there. It won't affect the video in any way, but I think I'd go back and do it the same way I did it the first time, which was have that sack lining. Now the bone. I had a person contact me wondering what the effect would be if it hits a solid object. And I had another person who had bought some of my ammo and wasn't happy because the salt rounds weren't breaking. The ones with the tempered glass weren't breaking when they hit a soft target. So I thought I'd explain that a little bit. First off, if you have the 7 joule HDS, take the 20 minutes that it takes to pull out that little bitty black plug and turn it into a 16 joule because it's going to travel a lot faster and hit a lot harder. Secondly, there's no getting around soft tissue. When you hit soft tissue, it's probably not going to break. If it's a solid round like one of these lead shot rounds or one of the rock salt rounds, it's probably not going to break. We're going to actually test it here in a minute. I've never done this before. One thing I didn't do yesterday either was the TR50. Now this TR50 is 11 joule, so again it stepped up a little bit. But recently I started working on cartridges that would fit right in and be little bitty shot rounds. So the same basic thing, you've got shot there. You have a thing that's called a gas plug, which is used in a reloading. These are 36 caliber. I'll actually use 41 caliber if I start producing these. And that way the air doesn't just shatter the round in the barrel. It will travel outside the barrel and hit before it breaks. But down inside there's the lead shot. And most importantly, pops right in and fits in the standard cylinder. So works great. So with that said, the first thing I'm going to do is try a lead shot round. I've got some glasses back in behind here. I'd be shocked if I break any of them. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. So we'll put a lead shot round, lead and wax. Again, this is jeweler's wax. If you make these at home and you use regular paraffin wax, it'll break a little easier. This jeweler's wax is pretty hard, so it's not going to break as easily. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fire into what would be the equivalent of soft tissue with a ballistic gelatin. Okay. That's nothing to sneeze at, don't get me wrong. That's pretty effective. As you can see, it made it almost clear through, but you can also see it's solid. It did not break up because hard jeweler's wax, if it hits soft tissue, it's not going to break. What I expect when I hit the bone is it will break, and you'll see it possibly even go down both sides of the bone. Again, total guess on my part. Okay, you probably heard that as well as seen it. The impact on the bone caused this thing to shatter. You saw pieces come out and fly backwards, but we also have lead shot that went down along the edge of the bone, ½ inch in. Of course, it hit the bone as well. Now, if this were a really small rib bone, maybe I would have done some damage. This is a huge bone. It's actually a dog bone, so I wasn't really expecting much damage to it. So the next two will be rock salt. And again, I expect about the same results. Let's see here. It's going in a little bit tight there. Get those in there. So we've got soft tissue. And it's about halfway in. It's a lighter round, so it did not penetrate as deep. And then we have on the bone, same basic effect. Now we're definitely in underneath skin. So it went under the skin. Most of it is still there. As you can see, most of it penetrated and then went along the bone, which means you have salt and wax down inside there, actually more so than the lead one did. Salt and wax is all inside the wound right now up against the bone. Okay, so with that said, I have never tested the TR50 round on ballistic gelatin, so let's see what's going to happen. First off, somewhere soft. And it's well past the halfway point. It did not break up. You can see that it's still quite solid. It looks just like it did when it came out of the barrel. And, well, let's turn this over. I'm going to get near the top and try to hit the bone right there, so you can kind of see the effect on hitting bone. I went low. Let me go a little higher. Okay. That definitely broke it up. Both times you could hear things ricocheting around. That one is fully inside. It broke. It's in there. Lead shot went along the bone. Same with this one. It's inside there. I'm not touching that lead shot. That lead shot's below the surface. So that did a pretty effective job. So here's the other thing. Now, I've just tested these lead shot rounds on this ballistic gelatin. I've got wax and lead shot and all sorts of stuff scattered throughout it. That's the last use to this ballistic gelatin. I am going to put it in the refrigerator for a month or two to see how the antifungal worked. But once you start using things like shot rounds on them, you're not going to be able to recover this. I might be able to slice little chunks of it off, but for the most part, this thing's toast. Okay, so with a little bit of movement here, tell you what, I'm just going to pull this thing loose. I'm going to use the last couple seconds to actually use these rounds for as they were intended. So that was the TR50. Now, let's see here. We're going to load this. It's not quite so easy to load this with one hand. I probably should have thought this thing through a little bit. Okay, so first we're going to do wax round. That just shot a lot of glass back at me. That was pretty effective. And shot round. So as you can see, when these things hit solid objects, they're very, very effective. And when they hit soft objects, you do get a fair amount of penetration on them. All three of them penetrated pretty well. The two lead shot ones penetrated much deeper than the wax one did. But all three of these would cause a little bit of harm. So anyway, I hope this answered a few questions that people were asking, and y'all have a great day. Take care.